Welcome back again to another video. Uh, Today we'll be looking at a very important tool that is used in the Microsoft CRM or Microsoft as a whole, not just CRM. You can use it in SharePoint or any other for any other purpose that you want to automate, basically. But it's an automation tool, Power Automate, or you can simply call this class flows. Remain your presenter, FA Egabo. So without wasting much time, let's just get into this. So here on the screen, you can see this is a simple table. This table, we're looking at the vehicles table, is the table that has three records in there, and it has about, you know, the values in four of those columns. He's looking at the vehicle speed, the color of the vehicle name, and the vehicle type, basically. So I've also written a flow, a very simple flow here. Basically, what we are looking at today is the apply to each behavior of the apply to each, and how sometimes you need to walk around walk around it to be able to achieve your requirement or what you are trying to really get at. So this is a manually triggered flow just for us to show that. And basically what the flow is doing is just getting the list of all the records in this table. And we want to look at how this would work. So what have I done here, or what am I trying to show here? So I've added these two. We could take those out. Let me just take this out so we could just start from scratch so you could see, because I've made part one of this video, just probably using part two. So once you get the list of all the records in that table, we want to get the name of the vehicles. So you can see the vehicle name. This is what we want to get. So if we run this, let's just test and manually run this. So yeah, just run the flow. Just ignore this. This is just saying that we just need to filter uh, that so that it doesn't impact the performance of the flow itself. But yeah, let's just test the flow and see what the flow is doing. Then from there, we'll take it up. So the flow has triggered. It has gotten the records. You can see it has gotten three of those records, and we are passing the name, the vehicle name field or column now via the compose action in the apply to each. So what does apply to each do? The apply to each basically just loops through all of these records. Say for example, you have 1,000 records here or 100 records. The apply to each will keep looping through all of those and retrieving what you have, the value you have passed into that compose and just return everything. So in a targeted action or a targeted operation, you want to, for example, get a particular record out of the list of all the records, or a particular column or field out of the list of all the column. The apply to each, we just keep looping through that. So how do you overcome this? So let's go back to the flow. One thing we could do is, for example, I'll show you the difference. We could just add a compose in here, the compose action, and we could use an expression. Say, for example, we want to get the first value. We just pass the value here. Um, so we want to pass the value, the first value. Basically, that's what we want to get. So we can just rename this as first value, basically. We'll save this and then see. So we have a list of records on the table. We just want the first value, which is this first value. This is how we would use this is how we can use uh, the expression statement to get that value. because the apply to each will just return everything from what we have seen. So let's just test this and then so that I can show you guys how that will be done. So this is basically for beginners understanding of how this works. So our flow has run successfully. You can see here the compose statement here. So this is the output. So if we look at the output very well, we can see here it says the vehicle type as SUV. You can see here the vehicle type, the vehicle name should be less than 350 and the color should be blue. So we could see those. So you can see the color is blue. And yeah, if you look more down, you probably see the other details. You can see the speed of the vehicle here as well. Anyways, now we can see that there's an issue here as well, right? Not like it's an issue, but in terms of real, you know, performance wise, system wise, and if you want your flow to be more effective, to run optimally, you don't want to retrieve the list of all the columns for that record. So what you can see here is this has so many records. What this is basically saying is that retrieve the first row and retrieve all the columns. But performance-wise, this is not a good practice. So what we want to do, or what our aim is to retrieve the first value here. So how do we do that to make that, to make the performance of that to be more robust and more efficient? We can just leave that. So what do? We can come here and we can append append the value of that feed, just the feed we want. For example, we can look at this. You can see here the feed value is vehicle name. So we can just go in here and pass that. Okay, so that's taking that off. Okay, so we can just simply pass the vehicle name alone through that expression, just so that we don't want to retrieve all of the columns for that particular record. Give us the first record and give us just this particular field that we want. So let's test this and see if there's any issue with that statement, or see how it works basically. Yeah, just ignore this. This is just like I said, when listing that record, we could do some filtering there using OData, but we're not interested in that for now. So now, what do you see? It is no longer retrieving the list of all the records columns, right? So now what it's just doing is just giving us the first value, and it is giving us just that particular column that we are interested in. So this is how you can use the first statement to get the first value, and then you target that particular column that you want for passing the value in there. So Power Automate is very powerful. This is one way to overcome the apply to each pitfall, or when you are doing when you want to achieve something specific, for example, retrieving a specific record. Apply to each, we have seen that it won't do that. It just keep looping through all of those records that is being returned from the list row. Now, is this the only way we could do this? Absolutely not. There's another way we could do this. If we do not want to use the first statement, we could just pass the binary value of that particular record. This is machine language. Most of these things are represented in the system. So retrieve the first record, it is represented as 0. Retrieve the second value in that particular array, we can use it as we can pass one. The third value, pass it as two. So if we just put the compose, another compose here, and we want to rename that, so we could say, give us a second value. And this time around, we could just go in here, select this, just do the, basically we're just doing the same thing, just want to duplicate this. So how do we do this? We could just, so let's take out the first statement in there. So basically, we just need the output of the list row, and we are targeting that particular field. Then how do we get the second value? We could just pass the value, the dictionary value of the second row. So if we save that, basically what we are asking it to do is the output of the list row get me the second value, second, basically second record. If it's zero, means we want it to retrieve the first record. If it is one, we want to retrieve the second record. Basically, you get the gist. And then once you retrieve that second record, give us this particular field. So let's run that and see what this returns to us. Just taking a little bit of time because it needs to save the record path before it tries to run the flow. So now it has finished running. Good. Then let's see. So if we look at this is returning the first record. And if we look at this is returning the second record. And you can see the second record here is to because we have passed that value. So it's returning Tesla. Uh, let's just take it out. So it's returning Tesla basically. Yeah. So that's for that. We could go in here, edit this. Uh, we could even change this to vehicle type. Basically, what you do. So basically, so just targeting the vehicle type, and I've changed that to what did I change it to? Just quickly look at the expression. So the second value there. Okay, so we can test this as well, so you can see what that is going to return, and you get the gist. So you can just iterate through all the columns, whichever column you want. You can get that. You can see it has gotten Camry and the vehicle type here. Yep, this is it. And you can see this, it is for this record that it has returned it. So basically, this is how you can avoid, some of the pitfalls of apply to age. It just gives you that, these expressions just gives you a way to bypass those and target specific information, and then you can do the manipulation